Hello. Yep. It's probably just me again. Wow, that's a weird thought for you. Only 9 more months till Christmas. I just did that to bother people. Well, tonight I've had a different type of day today. I've had a fun day. Met some nice people. Met some people that wasn't so nice. But that's okay. We have to have those too. If we don't have those, we don't appreciate the nice ones. Well, I've been working on a dude for almost 3 years now. If he was a chick, I'd call him a slick chick. He's got a slick chick that runs with him, and that's fine. But boy, have they stepped in a wash of caca. And the Lord said, the vengeance is mine. Well, I am a lord in certain aspects of life. I'm a landlord. And this was one of my tenants. But even over and above being my tenant, he was my friend. And I let him run the gamut. Let him basically do what he thought would be cool. He wanted to buy my house. Okay. You know, anything I have is for sale if the price is right. Well, this was my friend. So I sort of took it on myself to let my friend basically name his own terms. We can do this. We want to go in and fix the house all up. Well, the house was all fixed up. I had just moved out of the house. You know, it had, fireplace, island kitchen, stove, dishwasher. I just spent $22,000 remodeling the house. But I realized I had to spend about $21,900. That I was, as I'd say in a poker game, I was chasing good money. I was throwing good money at bad money. So I said, I'll sell it to you. All right. Well, what kind of brought this to a head today was I heard an ad on the radio for Peg Leg Pete's. on the bar beach. Sorry, Peg Leg Pete's on Pensacola Beach. They were having a crawfish boil. Something like their 9th or 10th annual. Well, my buddy, I use the term loosely because he's not my buddy now. And folks, when you're dealing with Uncle Wayne, I'm either with you or I'm against you. If I'm with you, I'm with you 150%. If I'm against you, I'm against you 200%. Just the way life is, boys and girls. Just a game. We're just passing through it. That's all we're doing. We're just passing through this life. This life is a wink. In fact, we may all have already died. And this may just be a dream that we had. When we wake up, it may be all over. We go, wow, that was a hell of a dream. But I don't believe that. I believe that we reap what we sow. I have what I have because God blessed me with a brain, and He blessed me with a very strong back up until about 6 or 8 weeks ago when the back went out. But I thank them. I still got about half the brain. We're still working on it. But back to Johnny Crawfish. Once I applied my 200% to him, and once I start removing the layers of bullshit that he laid on top of himself, he had a few facts that were legitimate in his background. 3 or 4 of them are not legitimate. There's a reason why Johnny Crawfish don't drive. I know the reason. I'm not going to put it here, but I know the reason. And I think that he knows that I know the reason. He knows that I know that he collected welfare for the 3 years that I knew him. Didn't know he was collecting welfare. I knew he was working at TC's front porch and was a top salesman there. When I say salesman, he was a waiter. He was a top waiter, but he had the highest sales on a nightly basis. Very personable guy. And he worked. He knew his job. Averaged $1,500, $1,800 a shift in revenue. Well, just use a national average of 15%. And then on top of that, tack in the $4.10 or whatever it is that he's required, that TC was required to pay him for salary. He's knocking down 1,000 a week, and he's collecting welfare, food stamps, and cash. What? Yep. That's all supposed to be classified. But if you know how to do it, you can unclassify almost anything. But I like the one with his wife. I liked her real well. I sat and had breakfast with her down TC's front porch 3 or 4 times, and did notice some very strange characteristics. The way that she would look at certain people, just flash reading people. If someone came in for breakfast and had a coat and tie on, headed to work or whatever, she had all outward appearances of being rattled by that. I knew her for the 3 years I knew her. She never worked. Johnny Crawfish. His name is Johnny Mitchell. I actually met this lady in New Orleans. He was driving a taxi limousine down on Bourbon Street, and either her ex-mother-in-law, or I think it must be her ex-mother-in-law. Never have been able to decipher that out. Owned the business, and Johnny was an employee. And then he later worked for the Japanese embassy in New Orleans as their driver. Very personable guy, and probably some ex-military that he had, and knowing the political strings to pull that he knows, and having a brother that's an attorney, he wound up being the driver for the Japanese, the Japanese diplomats. Here's where it gets a little fuzzy. When Katrina hit New Orleans, Johnny Crawfish had the opportunity to transfer to Baton Rouge. The embassy, the Japanese embassy, moved their offices to Baton Rouge until the city got back under control, and of course the city was out of control for over a year and a half. And I don't know whether the Japanese embassy moved back there or not. I didn't pursue that. I could care less, really. That wasn't what I was looking for. I found what I was looking for. There's a questionable thing happened, and We think that through some slick manipulation, the embassy probably declared diplomat immunity, or employees of the diplomats immunity. But Johnny Crawfish left Louisiana pretty quickly, and he wound up in California. But not, back to the story up a little bit. His wife went to California first. At the time, she wasn't his wife. But he needed a place to go, and I guess they'd become close enough friends that they decided why not. And they went to California. She was out there first and it got established. He came out later. She looking for a job, because by this time I'm thinking, I don't have any proof of this, but I'm thinking that certain elements started to fall apart, i.e. on the home front, and she had to become employed. So she went to work for a Subway sandwich shop. Have the address, have all that. Talk to the manager, talk to the regional manager. And they were somewhat forthcoming. But I already had all the information I wanted. I just wanted to verify that they knew. Because we're not finished with this yet, boys and girls. Somebody's pissed off Uncle Wayne real bad. So, anyway, she's working in the sandwich shop. And the words out of her own mouth one morning while we were having breakfast, while Johnny was the waiter who was having breakfast at the restaurant he was working at. And she says, Wayne, do you know any place that I can go to work? I need to go to work. And I said, I just saw a sign. In fact, one of my customers, I just saw a sign for Subway is hiring right here in the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center. And that was one of them looks I was telling you about before, like I hit her between the eyes with a ball-peen hammer. She looked startled. And she said, I work for Subway in California. I don't want any part to do with them people. And okay, she's not a sandwich shop person. Really. Then we turned the page. Why was she so excited about Subway? I mean, she had an overreaction to it. Then one day, and then I was on the assumption, understand, because these people came to me with a bill of goods. I had just moved out of my house, and the lights and water was in my name. And I said, go ahead and move in, man. And when I get a light bill, I'll just give it to you and you pay it. And when I get a water bill, rather than you have to put up all them deposits and shit right now, man, you're trying to get on your feet. Mistook kindness for weakness. That ain't good. It ain't good, boys and girls. That'll get you messed up. So, I'm handing them light bills for $150, $200. They going down and applying the street level con that we've had a real bad week. Here's $50. We'll pay you $50 next Tuesday. Well, I mean, the power company could care less, because I've had an account with those people for 37 years in the Navarre area, and my name's all over that contract. So, oh, okay, no problem. I've never had to do that, but here I'm thinking that they pay the light bill and they paid the water bill, and they were paying part payments on it and rolling it. So I go into front porch one night, and Johnny was working night shift. And I went in and he goes, "Hey man, I want to give you $100 because we had to pay the light bill, we had to pay the water bill this week, and I'm short, and I don't want to get behind with you on the. Here's $100." Okay, well, I mean, if you're short, yeah. No, I want you to have that. Street level con. But if I get where I came from, I was grading papers on the street when he was still shitting yellow. Anyway, he moves away. Nobody knows where he's at. He's living in his brother's place, who has a condo on Okaloosa Island. And because the season's breaking and there's not as much money to be made out here, his brother is going to let them live in the condo. And he had a dog named Ranger that had mange. Big black lab. A pretty dog. Nice dog. Except he had the mange, boys and girls. Well, I had a fenced yard. And I said, and my house was completely furnished now. And I said, "Johnny, don't let Ranger stay outside. I've got a doghouse outside. Doghouse is better than a lot of people's houses." And, okay. So, I went by there one day, and just for something, and I wasn't checking on the house or whatever, but I see Ranger come walking out the front door of my house. Okay. In the meantime, since they were going to buy the house, do what you want to with it. I could give a shit less. It's your house. Knowing that he had these big crawfish sales coming up, the crawfish season's coming in. And I just mentioned the one at Pig Leg Pizza in Pensacola Beach. Cost him, Johnny, $1 to put it together. That's what he told me. Because he went to Louisiana and got the crawfish. He probably still owes the dude in Louisiana for the crawfish. Now, I don't know that for a fact. But anyway, he brought back 8 bags or 10 bags or 100 bags. don't know what he brought back, but he brought back enough crawfish to set up at Peg Legs. And Peg Leg was selling tickets for crawfish dinners. Take the ticket over, give it to Johnny, and the tickets are all numbered anyway. That's the way Peg Leg has been doing it for years. And then the agreement was that since Johnny furnished the crawfish, he was going to pay Peg Leg $1 for each ticket that Peg Leg sold. And then when it's all over with, I think he was selling like for $9 or whatever. So he had $1 in it, plus he owed Peg Leg $1, so he had $2 in it. So he's making $7 a pop on these crawfish. No license, no insurance, no nothing. But he did it, and I saw the results of it. In the meantime, they had decided that they would take the carpet up in the house, probably because the dog had shit on it or something, and they would paint my floors. My floors were plywood, and they would painted them green and yellow and blue swirls and put little sprinkles down on like star dust. Paint all the walls black. Well, I had a chair rub rail all the way around my house to protect the walls. You leaned up against the wall, you would knock a hole in it with a chair because it had a rub rail. Took all the rub rails down. Painted the whole house black and deep shades of brown, and accented with some deep shades of gray. Alright. This house had a brand new hot water heater in it. I just spent over $22,000 in rebuilding it. Every board in it that was bad had just been removed, and I have photographs of it. I have receipts from what I paid on it. Long story short, Crawfish put a whammy on me, he thought. And I'm just sitting around waiting, because the Lord said, "Vengeance is mine." We took and broke that down a little bit. We, the population of the world, broke that down a little bit and said, karma's a bitch. And boy, I know karma real well. Johnny Crawfish wasn't the first person I've ever helped. I've helped hundreds of people. And 99% of them have been great friends and great people over the years. I have people that worked for me for 5 years, 10 years, because I always treated them fair. I just buried one of them. I didn't bury him, sorry. I went to his celebration of life. Cajun Mike drove one of my taxi cabs out here. Cajun, like Johnny Crawfish was. Don't know. I don't know if he is or was. But I really don't care one way or the other. But they were once real strong compadres. And when we had the celebration for life for my driver, who had drove for me for over 3 to 5 years. I don't really know how long he drove for me. He always treated me extremely fair, and I treated him fair. Um, knew its entire family since its girls were probably the youngest one probably 5 or 6 years old, and the oldest one a teenager. Knew his ex-wife. Knew her new husband. Knew them all. They were family. I thought that was to be the same thing with Johnny Crawfish. It wasn't to be. Then I'm waiting for karma to happen. Lo and behold, I had rented the house out to another group of people that had moved into my house. The lady called me up one day and said, "Wayne, there was some investigator or something by here." And he gave me a paper. Well, it seems that Rosalind, we picked up 3 or 4 names on her. We'll just call her Roz. Seems that when she went to California, went to work in the sub shop, waiting for Johnny Crawfish to come out to join her, and then he could get a job doing something, and they could live happily ever after in California. Well, when she went to work at the sub shop, there was a wonderful gentleman there that befriended her. Don't know this for a fact, or do I? But he married Roz. Okay. And after being married to her for 10 years, he got his citizenship. In the meantime, she'd already split anyway. And he hired an investigator to track her down. Well, they tracked her to my house here in Navarre. My house that I was to have sold them. I had done some preliminary paperwork, and they picked up the paperwork at the courthouse. Well, from what I was able to ascertain, now there's a big word, boys and girls, from the investigator. It seems that Rosalind and Johnny Crawfish was charging this little boy, like, I've heard different figures. I've heard 500, I've heard 1,000 per month to keep him legal in the country, because he'd already bought a house, and he had married Roz, and Roz was a citizen, but there had something come up in the paperwork where it was kind of touch and go. So his attorney suggested that they stay married for at least 10 years before he could file for divorce. Hence, the arranged marriages is frowned upon by immigration. I wonder how I know that. Well, anyway, I know it. And save 20% on your first order and get fast free shipping. Shop online at chewy.com. He had filed through the courts in California, Santa Cruz, I think Santa Cruz, California. I don't have my paperwork with me right now, but I have a folder. I have about a 3-inch folder. Yeah, buddy. I can't tell you what you had for breakfast yesterday morning, but I can tell you what you had last week. Just saying. The gentleman in California, the Spanish gentleman, I have a tendency to believe that he's Mexican. I have not talked to him. I've talked to the investigator, and I may have been talking to him, but I talked to the sub shop she worked in, and classic example of street hustle. Look, we're going back to Louisiana, so you want me to, we can get married and you can hang out for 10 years as long as you pay us. If you don't pay, we're going to file for divorce. So anyway, he had to go through the lawyer and all that did, and they granted him the divorce through abandonment, and I think somebody had asked for alimony, and the judge waived the no alimony, and there was no splitting of property. And I think the judge wanted to say hello to her, but since she didn't show up for court, they just went ahead and filed it as failed to appear judgment for the plaintiff, and have a nice day. Now that brings us up to sort of a current event. Now we got a family of 3 that's collecting food stamps and monetary considerations to pay the rent, and making $1,000 a week, plus 2 of the kids is working when they were at my house, and then when they moved out from my house, all 3 of them was working. The chick gets married. One of the daughters gets married. She is working as a supervisor for Dollar General, and she has a little hustle in her too. And she went to work for Geico Insurance Company. Somebody walked in and said, "Hey, you want to go work for Geico?" And she said, "Sure, why not?" Nice looking lady. So she moved to Atlanta and went to work Geico Insurance Company. All this shit's verifiable. Then she's in Atlanta for a year, and now she's 17 or 18. She was 6 years old when Johnny and Roz got together, so I don't know what the math is on it, but I don't even care. But I can prove that she worked in Atlanta for Geico Insurance Company. Now she's working for an insurance company. Keep that in mind. Very important. And she marries a cadet cop in Atlanta. Okay. A wonderful human being. He's going to fit in this circle here very shortly. they sort of took him under their wing. Okay, she develops female problems. What? Wait a minute. We still have your welfare dependent card. You're working as one of the managers for one of the Geico offices or whatever, and you're still a dependent in Florida, and you're working in Georgia? I see fraud here. And you're working for an insurance company. Keep that in mind, boys and girls. So you come back. She came back to Florida, went to Fort Walton Beach Medical Center, and had an operation. Carte blanche. Charge off. Can't prove that because that's confidential. But there ain't nothing confidential, boys and girls. But it's confidential. Didn't pay a dime. In the meantime, the son is working for TC's Front Porch, the same place that the dad had worked, getting paid $10, $12 an hour, whatever he's getting paid. But he's still a dependent, a welfare child, still getting that government money. Okay. And they are getting 600 and change in food stamps, and I think 790 or something off the wall figure in cash. Wow. And nobody working. Now he's still on the dependent. He's still collecting parts of this money is actually going to support him, and he's making $200, $250 a week or whatever. Meantime, they moved to Fort Walton. No, they moved to the island of Fort Walton, where the brother who is an attorney has a condo. No problem. The girl's still in high school. The baby girl is still in high school in Navarre, Santa Rosa County. Wait a minute. Santa Rosa County is buying her lunch, and if she has to have any books or pamphlets or papers or anything, carte blanche because she's poor. And they're living in a condo on Okaloosa Island in Fort Walton. Sounds like fraud to me. Okay. So what do you, if you're this deep into fraud, what do? Do you just jump ship? No, you can't do that. You got to think your way out of this, partner. So what do? Let's have a little meeting here. Let's everybody get together. Well, let's see. We can have Johnny working as a bartender at Logan's Steakhouse in Fort Walton, along with Bill, who now manages a pier. They're working there together. And Johnny's probably making $100 a day. And he's picking up shifts. I mean, he works. He's a slick one, but he works. In the meantime, Roz has got something going. She's down overseeing a condo or something down in somewhere in the south end, down in Miramar Beach, somewhere down that way. We have addresses, but I don't have my paperwork with me. And the little girl, she comes back from Atlanta, and Eric, the son, he goes to live with the dad. Johnny's his stepdad. The little girl out here, she's still in school, but then she does what? Then she goes to work for Big Kahuna. So now we got all three of the kids working. The poor kids that's getting the money from the state. Look out, fraud. Look out, fraud. And some of you are turned 18 already. Look out, fraud. Well, we're in this deep. Let's just do one more. You want to? Let's do this. Let's apply for county housing. I mean, we're poor. Family of 5. We're smart. We don't sleep under bridges, but we're poor. So let's let you be the first one to move into a brand new townhouse that's funded by the federal government through Okaloosa County for poor people that have families that needs a leg up. They forgot to tell them that, they forgot to tell the application people that everybody's working. They forgot to tell the people that they'd been collecting food stamps fraudulently for 3 years. They forgot to tell the people they've been getting monetary considerations for over 3 years for these kids. They forgot to tell the people that the little girl who had a job in Georgia, who had already moved out of Florida and lived in Georgia, and worked for an insurance company, which has some of the smartest, especially Geico. There you go. Have some of the smartest investigators there is. And they still thought they could pull it off. So they have a wedding. They got married at courthouse or something, then they had a wedding supposed to have been in deep Destin. That's what went out to, other than the special invitations. They hired Bill as the bartender to pour the drinks. They went right back to the condo. I mean, a chosen few of the party did, the family did, at this giant wedding party. It wasn't the condo, it wasn't the brother's condo. It was the townhouse in Port Walton, right off of Patrick Street. I used to get paid for catching people. I'm real good at it. It's real hard to catch a friend, though. It sort of does something to you. It makes you very anti-people. It makes you want to say, I don't want to hear any sad stories. We deal in cash. I have relatives that are now very cynical of people. I'm not. Hell no, I'm not. I'm easy. To a point. Either I'm with you 100% or I'm against you 200%. And I have no conscience. I have zero conscience, pardon. I just seen him see him put handcuffs on Johnny Crawfish, who I love like a brother, as I would a total stranger. We have some more of this story. If this is almost 50 minutes long now. We have some more of this story, but we're not going to tell you right now. I will tell you that the rest of the story is official, and that to be a Sunday, I had a very productive day. It was fun. That's all thing you can say. It was fun. Because the telltale signs of, hey, I'm from Louisiana and here's a crawfish mailbox and here's all the little crawfish basket markers, and here's a little crawfish basket as yard decorations. It's a nice place too. It's off-street parking and the whole bit. But anyway, let's see how this goes, because they also have off-street parking at the courthouse. But you got to go through a barrier at the jailhouse. Alright, folks. I'm going to play this back and see how good it sounds. Sometimes I think I did good, and I didn't. But we'll see. So just remember, when I love you, and when I don't, I don't. We're going to catch you on the flip. You folks have a fine one. MK8761, I'm standing by.